So Netflix had quite a good day. One day, in fact, they increased by like 17%. They went from 502 pretty much all the way to 570 and then even up to around 590. I think that's a bit more than 17%, but I don't have the live data right here, so it was quite significant increase. Now, this has pretty much everything to do with the fact that it released its financial statements for 2020, and as you can imagine, they were pretty good. A lot of people spent a lot of time at home binge watching Netflix for some reason. They had a pretty good year, if I'm honest. Their increase in revenue was about 25%, so 5 billion, up from 20 to 25, and their net income went from about 1.8 billion to 2.7. So that's actually quite a lot when you think about it. And for the fact that they are an online company, their expenses kind of scale, but they're still profitable. So I can imagine why their stock increased so much so quickly, because it doesn't really look like things are going to change anytime soon. So the likelihood is they're still going to be able to keep this going, depending on what happens with Corona and people can go back outside in the outside world. But I think people are kind of getting used to the fact that staying inside and watching Netflix is quite fun too. People are getting used to it. And if people get used to something and it becomes kind of a common part of their everyday life, they don't really like to change it. And I think that could work in Netflix's favour quite a lot, actually. So the important thing is what's actually next for Netflix. They've hit this new high in terms of their stock price, but if they want to actually maintain it, they're going to need to do something about it. And they actually have quite a good plan. If I'm honest, I'll kind of try and break down this plan and I'll compare it to other streaming services so you have an idea or on whether Netflix can kind of maintain this kind of increased over a period. So the thing about Netflix is that it is a streaming service, and it was one of the original streaming services. But just because it was the original, it doesn't mean it's going to be the only one forever. And you do have all these other ones coming out, like HBO, you have Disney, and well, you can see on this screen, you have Amazon, Paramount, Sony, Universal, Warner Bros. And yeah, well, you've got quite a lot of new streaming services that are pretty much competing with Netflix. Now, Netflix also has another problem. For the fact that it doesn't own all the content on Netflix, it does have to pay for the rights to show content. Now, that is why Netflix is pushing for a lot of its own produced content. That's why you'll see quite a lot of content that says Netflix original, because it's produced by Netflix. It doesn't have to pay studios or other producers for the rights to show those pieces of content. And this, in the long term, will save Netflix a fortune if it can define itself as more of not just a streaming service, but also a production or a studio. And looking at this chart, Netflix is doing a really good job of it, because for the 2021, it is releasing over one new movie a week. So one new film every single week on Netflix. Now, if you compare that to Disney, Warner Brothers, Paramount, and Sony, it matches the amount of releases that all of those combined are going to have in 2021, which is just incredible. Now, the more it can kind of push its own content, the more likely it is it's going to be a lot more profitable in the future. And the way it's going just now is if it can produce really good series like The Queen's Gambit that was on TV, which was just, no, it was on Netflix, not TV. It was on Netflix and it was just fantastic. What's another one? The Haunting of Bly Manor was really good, or The Haunting of Hill House. Yeah, but I don't want to go too deep into that. In terms of long term, if Netflix can keep up some pretty really good movies and series, then it's going to define itself in a really, really good place in the future. Now, there's one other thing I want to talk about before I go, and that is just the quality of the service that it offers. Now, I have, or someone I know has, Disney, it has Amazon Prime, it has Now TV, which is a UK one, and I've tried all those services. And in terms of the actual software that they use and how good the actual application is, Netflix is just on another level. Just on the quality of how it works and how well it works and how it's just very intuitive on how it actually kind of predicts on what you want to be able to do. Like even just being able to go back 30 seconds or going to the next episode, or knowing when credits and intros are running so it can just kind of jump to the next thing, or you can skip the intros. This stuff actually matters in the long term because it creates a really good user experience for people. And that's where I think Netflix really gets it right. So if they can keep everything that they have going for them, then there's no reason why they can't justify a higher share price or a higher stock price, because they are really ahead of their time. And in terms of just quality, no other service that I've used does it like them. So I do hope you have enjoyed this video and you found it informative. If you did, please help me out and like the video. I would really appreciate it. And thank you very much, and I will see you next time.